Alright, before we find the measure of angles on a protractor, I want to start by examining how a protractor is numbered. We come over to the left-hand side. We'll notice the first number is 0, and the next number is 10. So it's counting 10, 20, 30. So it's counting by tens. I want you to notice that between any two sets is a small line. Since this line is perfectly centered between the two numbers, it's halfway. Half of 10 is 5. So if you look at the small lines, you'd be counting by 5. So if we go back to our original, we moved 10, 20, 30, and if we just went to the middle tick, that would be 35 degrees. So let's look at the angle that's already drawn for us. We want to know the measure of what's inside the angle. So I'm going to start on one line and go to the other line, counting on the way. 10, 20, 30, 40, and half, which is 5, so 45 degrees is the measure of this given angle. In the second example, I want you to notice that the angle does not fall flat down here or down here. This angle is perfectly centered. So in this one, the counting by chunks is going to be particularly important. Remember, when we look at a protractor, it's counting by tens from one number to the next, and if it stops halfway in between, that's a 5. So as I begin over here, we're going to move 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees, 60 degrees, 70 degrees, 80. 80 degrees is the measure of this angle. Alright, when we look at this angle, it could be slightly confusing. Obviously, it starts at 0, which is a good spot. And then we come over here where there's a 30 and a 150. So now we question, is it 30 degrees or 150 degrees? Well, if we begin skip counting, we won't have to question ourselves, but we'll know for sure from one line to the next how many degrees have been covered. So I'm going to begin over on the left-hand side, going up. I've gone 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. So the entire measure of this enclosed angle is 150 degrees. Alright, looking at the next section of this quiz, it had you look at supplementary angle pairs and complementary angle pairs. Supplementary means that it's going to add to 180 degrees. We can remember that it adds to 180 because it starts with an S, and a straight line, which also starts with an S, is always 180 degrees. Another way to remember this is to turn the word supplementary into 180 by putting a 1 in the front, connecting the S, and looping. So supplementary adds to 180 degrees. So if angle 1 equals 30 degrees, and they want to know the measure of angle 2, angle 1 plus angle 2 has to equal 180. So we'll take that 180, they have to add 2, and subtract the given angle, which is 30. 180 minus 30 is 150. Therefore, angle 2 must be 150 degrees. Complementary angles will add to 90 degrees. So if angle 1 is 25 degrees and it wants you to find the measure of angle 2, knowing that they are complementary tells us they add to 90. So I'm going to start with the 90 they have to add to and subtract the given angle, which is 25 degrees. Which gives us the measure for angle 2 is 65 degrees.